Hi there, everybody. This is Tabletop Talk, and we're going to be playing a game of Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective. Spoilers ahead, just to let everybody know, we're going to be playing through case number 2, The Tin Soldier. So if you don't want that spoiled for you, go watch Fieldman Theory or whatever's playing right now.
Go play it and then watch us do it and see if you're better than us.
Good choice. Yeah. See if you can be the Tabletop Talk guys.
We don't want to hear it if you did.
Also, there's an expansion for this game coming out probably in the near future. I think in April that introduces Jack the Ripper. So get set for that. But anyway, so the whole point of this game is that we are friends of Sherlock Holmes.
We're emotionally fragile.
We are friends of Sherlock Holmes who are supposed to assist him in solving some of his cases. So we have a case here. Amber, our lovely friend, is going to read the case out to us, the introduction and the whole scene. And from then on, we'll just go out onto the streets of London, going to any place we wish, using this map of London that the game has given us, and try to solve this, whatever type of case it is. Could be a murder. It's probably a murder. It's always a murder. Anyway, with that, let's get things underway.
Okay. Case 2, The Tin Soldier, June 1888. We are at 221B, Baker Street, quietly celebrating the conclusion of the munition magnate case, when we hear clamor in the street below, followed by the ringing of the front doorbell, and then the sound of heavy footfalls on the stairs. It seems as if our moment of triumph is to be but short-lived. Come in, Lestrade. Lestrade timidly peeks in, his face betraying surprise at being recognized before he is seen. "Really, Holmes," exclaims Watson, "I suppose you will tell us that Lestrade rings doorbells in a most distinctive way, and that you would recognize his footsteps anywhere." "No, my dear Watson, not at all," Holmes chuckles. "But since the trip from the front door to ours was made in seconds, and was accompanied by a warning screech from Miss Hudson, it must be presumed she knew the caller. Who else would be in such a hurry and gain immediate entry but Inspector Lestrade with some pressing and professional matter? Besides, at the window a few moments ago, I glimpsed the inspector's carriage turning into Baker Street. Inspector, now that you have regained your breath, how can we be of service to you?" Lestrade plops down on the chair and gasps out, "General Farnsworth Armstead is one of 6 surviving Waterloo Tontine ticket holders, has been murdered." "Waterloo Tontine?" asks Watson. "A lottery of sorts. In 1815, the Tontine was set up to aid veterans of the Battle of Waterloo. Wellington's victory over Napoleon, for £1, one bought a ticket in the name of some young relative. Longevity is paramount to winning. The ticket proceeds amounted to over £1 million, half of which went immediately to veterans and their families for medical hardships and expenses. The remainder went to an account at the Bank of England, where it has been collecting interest all these years. The sole surviving ticket holder will claim that prize." "A king's ransom, certainly," exclaims Watson. "Who are the surviving ticket holders?" "The oldest, Captain Robert Jurgens, 82. Then Anita and Claire, Thomas twins, 80 years old. William Rallam, age 79. Peter Dudley, 77. General Armstead was the youngest." The Times is sponsoring some big to-do involving the Tontine survivors on the 18th, says Holmes. "That's right. A Waterloo anniversary banquet at the Langham Hotel." "Why is the name Armstead familiar?" "Perhaps, Watson, you are thinking of the General's book, Treasure of Conquerors," says Holmes. He was a noted art collector, I believe." "Indeed he was, Mr. Holmes," says Lestrade. He was interested in valuables, which at one time belonged to famous military men. The book traced the history of various objects and how they passed from collector to collector. Quite a sensation it was, if you know what I mean. At the time of his death, he was working on a revised edition for his publisher, Norgate and Company. It was to contain an entirely new chapter on a fabulous diamond called the Polar Star, which at one point belonged to Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's brother. The general had new information which traced the gem to its present owner. What do you think, Holmes? I think, Inspector, that you should tell us the circumstances of the General's death, said Holmes. At 10 o'clock this morning, the General's valet, former Batman, David Sennett.
Sorry, does it say?
Does it say Bateman?
No, it says Batman.
It does say
It
Batman.
must be an old-timey phrase. It's
James, any?
I'm not familiar with Batman as a.
He was
That's-
the knight.
That's
How's it spelled? We should look it up.
it's BATMAN.
Okay, we should look it up then.
It's fucking Batman.
Because we're not dealing with
Alright.
Batman.
I
This
feel
case
like
is
if you
too.
Google Batman, you're not gonna get what you
Because
want.
we got an English
We gotta
word.
take a
Wait,
picture
no,
of
see,
that
see,
for
okay,
the
that's how we
fans.
rate our scores. Sherlock gets 100, Batman gets 95. How well did we do
I gotta
compared to
search,
Sherlock and Batman?
I'll bet that he plays cricket and he literally is.
Oh,
the
a
cricket
Batman. That's probably what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Fuck is the...
No, he's like part bat.
Oh,
Like he's
he
like
grew up as the Bat Boy in the good, and then he grew up as now he's the Batman.
Okay. There you are. Are you gonna take a picture of this?
I'm gonna
It's,
try.
Peter, I can get pictures of everything
Yeah.
later.
It's okay.
I'll have to-
Okay. At 10 o'clock this morning, the General's valet and former Batman, David.
He's like a cabbie. He's a cabbie. Just think of a cabbie.
Yeah.
It's his valet.
no,
Who's
we're
the
never
current
gonna get through
Batman?
this. We're never gonna make it. Case over.
Holmes is like just shaking his head. He's like, "You guys are all fired. Get out of my house right now."
Holmes is really confused because he's never heard of Batman.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
It's like his friends from the
Start the
future.
next sentence.
My assistants
Let's
have
go.
gone insane.
This is how he knows we're from the future.
David Sennett admitted a caller to the General's study. The caller was an elderly gentleman with a French accent, unknown to the Senate. It was all very unusual that the General never sees anyone in the morning while he's still at work. But the gentleman insisted. The letter to the General, who... Oh, well, I missed it. Okay. 1 second. That if the General would read a letter, he would be the exception to that proven rule. And so it was. Sennett took the letter to the General. Yep, that's what it is. Who went very pale when he read it. He told Sennett to let the man in, sensing something amiss. Sennett dawdled in the area of the study for the next 15 minutes or so. Suddenly, he heard the distinct sound of swordplay. Then he tried to enter the study, but found the door securely locked. As he attempted to force it, he heard a crash of breaking glass. He gave it up and raced to the kitchen and out the back door to enter the study from the garden. The caller had quite vanished by that time. He arrived, and the General was leaning against a display case of military miniatures, the shattered top of which accounted for the broken glass. Before Sennett could assist him, he dropped a rapier from his hand and fell over dead. I take it, asked Holmes, that the letter that so upset the General was nowhere to be found? Correct, Mr. Holmes. Well, Inspector, we shall put our brains and our feet to the task. Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
See it?
I want to see the word Batman in the text.
Yeah. Give me 1 sec. Okay. There it is.
Yep.
Batman doesn't even use swords though.
Yeah.
So we're looking for the Batman.
No. The Batman's his valet. We already know who the Batman is.
Nobody knows who the Bat. He could be anyone.
We know who the Batman is.
James,
It's important that the city has it.
James, you want to see a magic trick? Watch as I make this pencil disappear.
He's dead now.
Okay, should we go first?
Hearts.
Go to
The scene of the crime.
scene of the crime.
Yeah.
Okay, no. I want to go over what happened? Because
Right.
I want to.
Yeah, let's make sure we're all on the same
Get
page.
this straight in my head. So a person came. Who is this general?
So the general is the
that's
victim.
Yeah.
Okay, and
He is
he
the-
was a ticket holder.
He's the youngest of the 6 ticket holders still alive.
Okay, what was his agent name? I did not catch
He
that
was
Armstead.
General Armstead.
General Farnsworth Armstead.
Farnsworth?
Arms.
Good news, everyone.
Yeah.
It's the victim's name. That's probably why you
What
thought
was what was his
Farnsted.
age? 74.
Yeah, 74.
I see two avenues that this could be about. It could be about the diamond, something about his collection and the military stuff with it, or it could be something to do with the taunting. My guess is it has nothing to do with any of those.
That would
It was also somebody he was meeting out of his normal schedule,
right.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
A
So
French
he
fellow.
read a
he
letter.
wait. So the
and
general
then-
has the diamond. What
Right?
did the diamond have
Was
to do
that
with
it?
The
anything?
So-
general
No.
was writing
gentleman-
a book about the diamond.
Oh,
saying that
okay.
he
And it's
could-
got new information about its new owner.
Yeah. And then
That's what the person who came to the general
No.
said.
Maybe.
Wait.
No.
No, the person
No.
said you have to
That's
read
what
this
his book
letter.
was.
Yeah. Like he was a caller, as in like
Yeah,
it
he
was
came
someone
to
who
the house.
wanted to see him. The general was, of course, I'm not seeing anyone. He's like, well, first read this letter he handed you. He reads the letter, goes pale, and says, "Bring him in."
yeah.
And then
Okay.
they're in, and after
then they
15 minutes,
go into
sword
swordplay.
play. Sword play. They're going at it.
Okay.
Doors locked. Gentleman goes around, finds him. He's
Yep.
dead.
Friendly competition.
And the letter is missing, so we don't know what it said. The
Yeah.
general
Okay.
wrote a book called Treasures of the Conquerors, and he was a noted art collector. So that's probably where the gym comes into it. Yeah, he's interested in valuables which one time belonged to famous military man.
And
And
the caller said that he knew who the new owner of the diamond was.
the caller
We have
didn't
no
connect
idea
to the
what his
diamond at
intent
all.
was.
We have no idea.
Why is this diamond mentioned? What?
Because it's what the general was famous for. Watson was like, I know the victim's name from somewhere. And Holmes
Wait.
was like, well, he wrote this book about Treasures of the Conquerors.
Oh, and part of one of the treasures was this diamond.
Was this
Yes,
diamond.
he's currently working
Okay.
on a new chapter that hasn't been published yet.
Yeah, he was
Gotcha.
working on a revised edition for his publisher, Norgate and Company, which is another place we could check out, by the way.
So a diamond is just a meaningless anecdote.
Well,
No,
it was
so the key is that this general has a number of different reasons why anyone might want to kill him,
Yeah.
including one of which is that he's a respected treasure hunter and
Yes.
has information about a very valuable diamond that he has not yet published about.
So he hasn't published about specifically the Polar Star.
yes,
Right. So
Okay.
that could also be motive for someone wanting to get something from him.
The general had new information which traced the gym to its present owner. So yeah, somebody could have killed him for that information.
Who do you think would have started that fight? The person with the letter or the general himself?
We do not have enough information about that yet.
Yeah.
No idea.
I feel like we should go to the scene of the crime if everybody's clear on what happened.
Well, all right.
I feel like that's a good first step.
yeah.
I think I agree.
What is on this page?
That is the list of locations.
Oh, okay.
So what you do is you go, all right, we got to go to the scene of the crime. So where was the general killed?
in his manor,
Okay. Is there a name
Right.
given for the manor? So,
or like in his study
right.
specifically.
No, there is not. So we are looking for General Farnsworth Armstead in the London Directory. So we turn to the A's, and we go down here.
Oh wow! So there's not even a default. We go to the scene of the crime. It's like you don't
Nope.
know where it is.
Yeah, you
You
gotta
have
find
to
it.
you have to figure it out from the.
By the way, Nick was right at the very beginning that even before the thing started, Holmes's conclusion about that being Lestrade
Yep.
was already impossibly incorrect. Like
Well,
that was a leap that couldn't have been made.
It was
by
also
normal
just
people.
like
Well, he
said
saw
this
him- he saw his
complicated
carriage
thing
coming
about
around
the
the corner.
timing.
Yeah,
and then he was like,
I also saw his
I
car.
also saw his carriage.
Yeah, he's
Like,
just
why
being a
don't you-
jerk.
Why don't you just fucking?
He's just being classic Holmes,
Yeah.
where he's just like, I'm not actually smart. I just make everybody around. Well, he is actually smart, but whatever. So yeah,
he's
He's
also
better
a
at making people
jerk.
look dumb than
He's
he
also
is
a
at
jerk.
actually just being smart.
Arm,
He's a smart
Armstead, General Farnsworth, 27 Northwest. Now, the one thing about this address book is that it lists both the person's office and their home. So we have to be careful because sometimes you can get confused and go to their place of work rather than their actual.
So we can't simply say the scene of the crime in this case and know where it is.
We know where it is by looking up the booklet. Sometimes they'll tell you locations. Like sometimes in the starting intro, they'll be like, "Oh, it's at this address." But if it doesn't, you could always just go and find it.
Okay.
Okay, so we could end up going to the wrong place, even though everybody knows where the murder took place.
All right,
So
sure,
27
but it's highly
Northwest.
unlikely.
Is that his home?
Yeah, 27 Northwest. Yeah, it's got to be. So what we do is then we go, all right.
On Brick Street.
So he's in 27 Northwest on Brick Street.
While you're going to do that, I'm going to look up the Norg thing,
Okay.
just so we know where the location is.
So we turn through this and we look for area north area northwest, and we see if there's an entry for that,
Norg.
which there is.
What a surprise.
Okay, go ahead, Amber. If you'll read from 27 Northwest down, and be sure don't look at the other headings
Ooh,
because that'll
okay.
give us hints.
I won't look.
Okay.
At the Armstead home, we find that the police have cordoned off the premises, and that it is only after mentioning Inspector Lestrade's name in a loud and indignant tone that we are able to gain admittance. We pass into the large foyer, which houses some of the general's art collection. On one pedestal is an alabaster vase. A card states that it once belonged to Alexander the Great, given to him in tribute by an Egyptian prince. In a glass-enclosed niche is a jade necklace, once owned by Augustus Caesar's wife, Livia. In all there are some 15 objects in the foyer, none of which appears to have been disturbed. At the study door, we are met by the general's valet and former
I don't know.
Very important that he's a former Batman.
know, this comes up over and over.
I swear, we find his body and it's like there appears to be several beatings as he was fought with by a bat, but not a sword.
It can't be his Batman because Batman doesn't kill people.
Not this Batman. This is a bad Batman.
Oh, this is bad Batman.
He's a former Batman.
This is English
This is
Batman.
Red Hood Batman.
Yeah.
English Red Hood.
Batman. David
Okay.
Sennett. Okay, David Sennett. We judge him to be the general's contemporary. That is, in his 70s.
Oh, this is the valet.
The Frenchman.
The valet.
The valet, yeah.
That is, in his 70s. More by his white hair and weathered face than by any deterioration of his physique. He's in fact slim and athletically built. One has no problem imagining that his uniform of 40 years ago still fits him perfectly. Ranrob stiffed. Only his eyes betray any emotion, and they are quite red, as if from weeping. He readily agrees to conduct us on a tour of the premises. The study is a very large room, devoid of furniture, save for the desk at the opposite end of the room. To our right, between two bookcases, is a glass-enclosed display, the top of which has been shattered. In the glass case is a diorama of some 200 military figurines. Hanging on the wall above are flags, sabers, and Bessard's police. Police? Yeah. And other military equipage.
Oh, equipage. Okay.
Yeah. The general calls this his Waterloo Wall, explains Sennett. There are mementos of that great battle, and of course, the Tontine ticket. The ticket, a large certificate, really is framed and hanging at about eye level. Among the other paraphernalia, this is where I found the general, says Sennett, leaning over the diorama. He must have smashed the glass with the pommel of his rapier. What does the diorama represent? It is a depiction of the last great British charge, which swept the French from the field at Waterloo. The Franc Duke, as the Duke of Wellington was called, is waving his hat to signal the advance. Here now, Sennett points to a figurine representing Wellington. While all the other figures are advancing towards the viewer, the figure of Wellington is turned around in the opposite direction, that is to say, facing the wall. How strange, says Sennett. He's about to set it right when we caution him that nothing in the room should be touched until the police investigation is completed. On the wall opposite the Waterloo Wall are hung two crossed cavalry pennants. Above them, some 10 feet up the wall, is a single rapier. There is dust pattern on the wall which crossed it, indicating a missing twin. It was a repair that the general had, explained Sennett. A chair normally placed by the desk was the use of visitors has been moved against the wall under the repair. Faint footprints soil the fabric of the seat. Several handwritten pages, which represent the revisions of his book, Treasures of the Conquerors, are strewn on the top of the general's desk. Sennett tells us that the general was working on it when the visitor arrived. These particular pages deal with the history of the gem, the Polar Star. It traces its ownership from Napoleon's brother up to the Russian Count Rostov, who acquired it in the year 1872, and from whom it was stolen in 1887. Next to the manuscript is a letter from Pierre Martin. It simply states that he is prepared to divulge the name of the present owner of the gem for the agreed-upon fee. Information and money are to be traded at the Bridge House Hotel at 10 a.m. on the 12th.